Hi guys, and welcome to my review of the Penon Impact, this little baby over here. I apologize straight away for not having the actual full box and accessories and everything that comes, the whole shebang that comes usually with the IEM, but this is a loaner unit, and I want to thank my friend Xavier for having been so kind as to loan me his Impact. Roughly in front of us here, we've got shy on $14,000 of IEMs. I'm laughing because honestly, I never thought I'd have this much money in front of me in terms of IEMs. It's actually curious because, all of them are good in their own way, the truth here is that this isn't really me trying to say which one comes out on top or which one doesn't come out on top, but rather me positioning the Impact with regards to the other IEMs here, and then I let you guys decide with regards to the price, if it's fair, if it's expensive, or if it's worth it, if it's not worth it, and the same applies to all of the other IEMs actually in essence. But anyway, let me just quickly tell you what I've got here. On the top corner there, on the left hand side, I've got the SoundRhyme SR8 14 BAs, roughly $790. It's got some tuning switches which allow for some versatility in the tuning. Next, with the AüR Audio Alita, shy on $1,000, 12 BAs, Sonian and Knowles mix, the same thing as with the SoundRhyme. Next to that, I've got the only real outlier of this whole bunch, and I'll get to that in a second, which is the AüR Audio Alita. I mean, that's $360, so it's the cheapest of the rest here. In the second row here, I've got the QDC Tiger, $1,485, if I'm not mistaken, the price. 6+2, so while those at the top there are all BA sets, this one here is 6 BAs and 2 ESTs. Next to that, the Dunu SA6mk2, which is one of my reference IEMs that I usually utilize. Okay. Next to that, another of my reference IEMs and one of my favorite IEMs for a long time, which is the Neon Pro, the AüR Audio Neon Pro. Sorry, I forgot to mention, this is about $550. The Neon Pro is about $780. So actually, the Dunu and the AüR Audio are the cheapest in this whole bunch here. And in the front row here, I've got the TXN Audio Dest Ti, $2,500, 4+2, so 4 BAs plus 2 ESTs. Next to it, the Impact, which is a 10+4, so 10 BAs and 4 ESTs. And next to that, finally, the venerable Anole VX 10 BAs. So I've got a mix here of BA sets by themselves, BA with ESTs, and like I said in the beginning, all of them have their qualities and their points of being positive and their points of not being positive. I've reviewed all of them that are here, for the exception of the QDC Tiger and obviously the Impact. So I'm going to talk a little bit more on the Tiger, just give a brief description on the rest, and then talk obviously in more detail with the Impact. The Tiger, also a loaner unit, and the moment I heard it the first time, I was very much reminded of the Anole VX. Okay, very much reminded. It's got the same kind of tuning, but with less BAs and with the addition of 2 ESTs. But the sound is very similar. And what do I mean by that? It's got a very smooth, very natural sound, very detailed. Not so much when the volume is a little bit low, but when you crank up the volume, it comes alive, and there you start seeing how detailed it can actually be. So super natural, super organic in its sound, very smooth, very easygoing. The tonality does have a tendency of being on the warmer side, but it's always a warm clean, a warm detailed. The bass, very well executed. It's got a nice, clean, typical BA bass in terms of its speed and texture, but it's got also hints of DD in there, so it's got that nice fullness. Okay, it's not obviously it's not a visceral kind of a bass, but it's got enough let's say thickness associated to it that gives it the necessary impact. In terms of its technicalities, for the price, I have to say that I was expecting just a little bit more in one or two of the technicalities. In terms of timbre and tonality, perfect. I've got nothing to say about that. In terms of detailed retrieval, again, perfect, more than acceptable. Where did I then find that the technicalities were somewhat a little bit not lacking, but for the price, like I said, they could be better, was in the soundstage, which I found it to be a little bit on the closed inside. I was expecting something a little bit more open, okay? And in terms of the imaging, all right, those two, I was expecting more. Maybe perhaps because of the Anole VX. And when you actually compare the two, they do sound similar. But yes, ultimately, this is more detailed, but it's also more clinical. That is less detailed, but is more musical. Let's put it that way. Okay, so they're a good complement to each other. Okay, if you're a detail freak, then Anole VX all the way. If you're more into the musicality, then obviously QDC Tiger. Beautifully built. I mean, the Tiger has got a fantastic shell, as you can see. It's a titanium alloy shell with this faceplate with kind of like the claws of the Tiger that had been like kind of embossed into it. It's not a heavy IM. It actually fits quite nicely. The tips I'm using is some spin fits actually. And yes, like I said, in terms of its sound, warm, nice tonality, nice organic sound to it. The EST is all well implemented, although it could be just a little bit more energetic, but for the whole balance of what is being done here, it's perfect. And technicalities, like I said, only really the soundstage and the imaging left me a little bit wanting more, only because of the price. I mean, $1,500, you expect a certain level of, and that was that's the only real thing that I can point as a, well, not negative, but as something that I would have liked a little bit better. That's all. Okay, so that's the QDC Tiger. I think that's enough to kind of position it and talk about it and give it its deserved time in the light. Let's put it that way. As for the others, I'll just do a quick run. The SRT8, sorry, my apologies, the SoundRhyme SRT8. SRT8, 14 BAs, it's got the tuning switches, as you can see there, all right, which allow it to have a somewhat nice versatility in terms of what you can make it sound like. I've got it in the 1-1 position, which gives me the fullest bass. However, the bass of the SRT8, it's clean, it's detailed, it's fast, transients, everything. It's very nicely executed bass, but it's one of the basses when you compare with some of the better ones here that's lacking a little bit more in overall weight. Okay, and that's not a bad thing. I mean, they've used some Sonian 38s as well, but not the 38D1X. And that particular BA is a BA which is more of a, more of a woofer than necessarily the 38DX, which is more of like a subwoofer. Okay, so obviously there will be differences, and the difference is, yes, it's got a faster bass than the 38D1X applications. It's not as thick, okay, not as visceral, let's put it that way, but very, very detailed bass. Like I said, transient speed of the bass is crazy. Texture, really good. As for the rest of the frequency response, Nothing really that, you know, I can point as a negative. Well, the bass as well isn't a negative. It was just what I was saying. The rest is it's fine. It's got great mids. There's a lot of stuff that on the SR8 that reminds me of the Neon Pro. Got a little bit less detail on the upper treble ultimately, but it's cleaner. It's more. It's not the treble on the Neon Pro is harsh. No, God, far from it. But it's just a little bit cleaner, the treble here. In terms of technicalities, great soundstage, great imaging, detailed retrieval. So technically wise, it's a very capable IEM in my opinion. Next to that, I've got the AüR Audio Alita. And this is all about being smooth. Okay, this is the perfect IEM to wind down the day, to just sit back, relax, listen to some jazz, just chilled. That's not to say that that's not capable of being engaging. Yes, it is capable of being engaging, but obviously when you compare it with like an SR8 or the Neon Pro or the Dunu SA6, no, it is not. It's not that kind of engaging. Okay, it's all about being smooth. Okay, this uses mainly all nulls, and you notice straight away that in the bass, for example, it hasn't got that thickness of the bass usually associated with the Sonian 38D1Xs, but it's got a very, very detailed bass. So it's a nice, clean, detailed bass, a little bit more fullness to it than the bass on the on the SR8, but less quantity. Like I said, this is about smoothness. The SoundRhyme, the Leisurely Audio L8S. This is kind of like the underdog over here, honestly, and the reason why I put it here is because I'm genuinely impressed by the performance of this IEM. It is in many aspects. I'm going to say it's a mini Neon Pro. And mini Neon Pro is not being fair to it because it's basically got the same number of BAs. It's got 8 instead of 10, just less 2 BAs on the tweeter side, on the high frequency side. The rest of the BAs are exactly the same, also Sonians, 38D1X, and in everything, in 90% of the time, this is the same as the Neon Pro with the bass switch on. Fine, when you put the bass switch off on the Neon Pro, lowering the bass output, it changes completely the dynamics of the Neon Pro and it becomes a totally different beast. Okay, it enters a realm which is completely different, and there, yes, you'd see it shine significantly more and completely overpower the Leisurely Audio. Still, when I say completely overpower, it's not that it's a massacre, but if this is 90, maybe 90, just 95% of a Neon Pro when the switch is on the Neon Pro. When the switch is off, this is about 80% of what the Neon Pro is. And it's just down to the fact that by having the bass brought down, the mids and the highs are capable of shining in a completely different manner, and all sorts of details and layers of detail come up. Okay, while here you don't have that opportunity. But the reality is as well that this is like $360 or $380, and you know, if you consider the price, and if you consider as well that, like I just said, that the performance of it is basically very similar to the performance of a Neon Pro when you have the bass switch on, I think that speaks the world for the Leisurely Audio, and it's an IEM that I genuinely hope that people will give it a little bit more love. Because much like when I used to say that the Neon Pro was a beast and nobody kind of paid attention until a good year had passed, I'm sure that this will eventually catch on, because it is truly a very nice IEM. Anyway, that's enough of that. I've basically already talked about the Neon Pro. You know, with the bass switch on, yes, very, very powerful bass. Probably the Neon Pro and the Dunu are the ones here that have the most bass thickness, bass impact. Probably. And I say this in, for example, if we listen to a song like From Dusk to Dawn from George Duke, you listen to the beginning of that song on the Neon Pro, on the Dunu SA6, and also, funny, let me not forget the Leisurely Audio. You listen to it on these three, and they definitely have more thickness, more cubic inches, okay, to those initial hits of the drum compared to any of the others here. Even the Impact, which supposedly that's one of its strong points, okay. Switch take the bass switch and switch it off. You know, fantastic in terms of mids, and it becomes a really highly detailed IEM, capable, like I said when I reviewed it, of keeping up with the Anole VX for 95% of the time, for example. So that speaks a lot as well, you know. Having said that, I should also mention that the SoundRhyme, the SR8, in one of the positions of the switches, it also becomes even more detailed than what it already is with the current setting that I have, and also trades blows, serious blows, with the Anole VX. So if there are two IEMs here that in certain positions of the settings, they can become true detail monsters, it's the SR8 definitely, and the Neon Pro. Dunu SA6MK2. This has been an IEM that has gotten some love and has gotten some hate. I honestly don't understand the hate part, to be truly frank, because I think it is a fantastic IEM, the best of the SA series, SA6 series, in my opinion. The SA6 in its original form was a fantastic IEM. It was very much you could consider it a reference in its class, and maybe only just slightly overshadowed by the RSV. But in this current format, the MK2, it's better than the RSV, okay? And in my opinion, even better than the Studio 4, which I've also got here to review for you guys. Like I was saying, the bass on the MK2 is amazing, really good. It's got the nice thickness, the nice fullness that it should have. It doesn't sound like a BA. In terms of the mids as well, perfectly executed, and loads of extension up top. I find the way that they've made the driver matching, the coherence, to be absolutely flawless. Female vocals, male vocals, and this has got very much that kind of QDC style of tuning, but it's been done in a way where the tonality, the timbre, is very nice. I actually even prefer the timbre and tonality of the MK2, as I mentioned, over the Neon Pro, and that was one of the IEMs that I really thought, for a BA, obviously IEM, had that aspect really well done, and it still does, but I prefer the MK2 in that aspect, okay? You notice, for example, on the SR8, there are certain small occasions where you feel a little bit of that BA tonality there. On the Neon Pro, very seldomly, and over here, even less so. So yeah, technically wise, great detailed retrieval, great soundstage, imaging, really nothing that can be said. I mean, technically it's on par with the Neon Pro, in my opinion, and on par with the SoundRhyme, with the SR8. Perhaps the fact that it's I don't know, I'm not going to say it's the bass, because the bass also helps out in the technicalities. Perhaps the only area where it might be just slightly behind the Neon Pro is if I really want to, you know, the size of the soundstage. Not so much the width, but perhaps the height and the depth, maybe a little bit less than the Neon Pro. But in the, you know, the depth, sorry, so not so much the width, but the height and the depth, a little bit less than the Neon Pro. In terms of the width, on par, imaging on par, detailed retrieval, maybe perhaps even a little bit more than on the Neon Pro. I mean, very capable technically wise, very capable. And then, well, we've got the first three. Anole VX, I think, absolutely needs not much of an introduction by me. Fantastic IM, technical beast, $2,200. I mean, it better be. It's been a reference for years and years, and the people that have it really know how to appreciate it. I don't agree with some of the of the tunings, of the settings that the switches allow for, especially when it boosts the bass. I think it actually spoils it. For me, the best tuning option is the 010 option. I think it's amazing, honestly, really, really amazing. Much like the Neon Pro really shines with the bass switch off, this on that setting is where everything just comes alive in the proper manner. You know, what can I say? Soundstage, imaging, everything. The only thing here that, in my opinion, lags behind some of the other offerings here is in terms of its the timbre and the tonality. Sometimes it makes it a little bit cold. It doesn't give it that nice warmth that you get on the Neon Pro, that you get on the MK2, that you even get on the Tiger. The Tiger is capable of doing that. The Tiger's got a nice tonality. Like I said, this is about being musical. This is about being clinical and detailed. And even with those three up top there, that's got better tonality as well. The Alita, on par. And yes, that one does have better tonality in terms of the bass, but not in terms of the upper mids and highs. Okay. TXN Dest Ti. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. This is most likely the best IEM I've heard up to now. Okay, period. And I have to, be true to my words. It still maintains that. The bass here compared to the rest, and compared, for example, to the Impact, the bass here might not be as quantitative, so it might not be as much. Okay, as I mentioned before in that particular song from George Duke from Dusk to Dawn, you notice that the slams here are slightly more relaxed as compared to here. The Impact does have a more thicker slam. But the quality of the bass, the quality of the mids, and especially the quality of the treble and the treble done by the ESTs is unquestionably the best here. Unquestionably. And I just have to, like, the C, second 44 in the beginning, when his voice comes on, listen, just listen to it. Listen, and if you can hear every single of his voice, and you know that you got a seriously detailed IEM. Yes, the Anole VX does it very well, does that fantastically well. Yes, the Neon Pro does it well as well. Yes, the MK2 does it well as well. But they just cannot keep up with this. They can't. The SR8 does it well, but it sounds too artificial by comparison to the Dest Ti. The Tiger does it well, but because it's got a warmer tonality, it loses some of that ultimate little twinkle snappiness. I don't know how to put it. Okay, the Alita as well, it's just because of its tuning being smooth, you don't notice it as much. And surprisingly, the Alita S actually does it better than what I was expecting. Much better than what it's the Alita S actually does that particular song better than the Tiger. Okay, better than the Tiger and better than the SR8. All right, so I think that it says a lot again for how good that little IEM there is. Another song where you notice straight away that this is a really good IEM is Up and Up from Jeff Ryan. It's got this really strong sax, right in the beginning, and it carries on throughout most of the music. And yes, you listen to it, for example, on the Alita, and it's chilled out. It doesn't, never bites you or anything of the sort. That you get the same kind of reproduction on the Impact. It's more powerful, definitely way more powerful than the Alita, but it's relaxed in the sense that it doesn't want to grab you. On the SR8, for example, it is that until a certain volume, and then you start noticing that sax wanting to kill you. The same thing with the leisurely audio. It's good up to a certain volume, and then it wants to bite you. On the Tiger, it's again very chilled out, very relaxed. On the Anole VX, it is chilled, relaxed, but it's too it sounds, I don't know, it just sounds too clinical. Okay, this I can't describe it because it's got all the energy that you would ever want for the sax. And it just sounds, you crank it up and you like listening to it with the volume cranked up because it sounds amazing. It sounds truly, truly amazing. You know, so that's another song where you can easily see how good an IEM is. Twilight from Brian Simpson. The beginning of the song has got all these cymbals and the drums and so on. There's also a sax there. Again, this has the ability to create an atmosphere for that song, which is just it's just next level. Anyway, I've talked a whole bunch about all of them, and purposely to really be able to position this properly. The Impact has got the typical Penon sound. End of story. And what that means is you got crazy good mids. Okay, the mids are really unreal. There's a rich musicality. There's layers of detail. You know, it's super detailed. The mids are fantastic. They never get offensive. They never get aggressive. They've got this. I mean, the timbre and the tonality of the Impact for an all BA set is really good. It is very good. It's been well done. The highs are handled mostly by the ESTs. They are detailed. They've got a good amount of of sparkle, detail, shimmer, if you want to call it that way. But if you listen to it and you compare it to, for example, the Anole VX, or you compare it to the Neon Pro, or you compare it to the MK2, you do not see that extra amount of detail that you would be led to believe. Yes, there's a little bit more detail, but not as much as you would think. Okay, where you see it crumbling and not being able to even slightly keep up is with the Dest Ti. The ESTs here are very much, in my opinion, implemented like they are on the Tiger. So relaxed, not to be offensive, not to be aggressive, not to be, but that safe approach also means that premium that you're paying for them perhaps is not going to be satisfied in the manner that you would think. Okay. There is, having said all of that, obviously, although not fatiguing and really well done, that there is still a very good amount of air. There's still a very good amount of space, of size, and that you can hear very well. I mean, the soundstage on the Impact is tremendous. Really good soundstage. Really good imaging. Detailed retrieval as well, excellent. In that aspect, nothing to be pointed as a negative aspect. Maybe you could consider, okay, those technicalities for the price of $2,500, are they matching? That's a tough one to answer. Honestly, that's a really tough one to answer, especially when when you've got something like a Dest Ti, which does that with less BAs, less everything. It's basically half the parts, okay, and it does that so well. I mean, the technicalities of the Dest Ti are just surreal, and it's the same value, same price. 4 BAs, 10 BAs, 2 ESTs, 4 ESTs. Bass. It's got 4 BAs. According to them, there's 4 BAs for the low frequency, And yes, there is a good amount of impact, and the bass is very full bodied, and it's got a good authority to it, and it's got it's punchy and everything. Do I think it's the best in that aspect compared to some of the others here? No, it definitely isn't. Yes, there's definitely more bass than compared to this. Definitely more bass compared to this. More bass compared to the SR8. More bass compared to the QDC, although you start seeing not such a huge difference. So more than the Alita. But then when you get to the MK2, you get to the Neon Pro, and even the L8S, you see that the bass here is not as grand or as big as you would think. The bass on the Neon Pro with the bass switch on is more than on the Impact. Okay, the same thing with the MK2, and the same thing with the L8S. There's more bass there on those three in quantity than there is here. Quality wise, very good, but really truly only better than the L8S, and marginally better than that. Better than the MK2 and the Neon Pro, it isn't. It's it's marginally better than that. At the very best, it's on par with this. Actually, in terms of the quality of the bass, honestly, in terms of the quality of the bass, the best one still, the best quality bass here belongs to the Dest Ti. That's the best quality bass here. Okay, I'm trying to find a happy medium between quality of bass and quantity of bass. Okay, let me just check here my notes. Yeah, that's basically it. I mean, in terms of the frequency response, there's really no flaws. It's a non-aggressive mid-range presentation, especially the upper mids and the treble are very well executed. There's no fatigue. It is unquestionably a very well tuned IEM. And a true testament to what Penon is capable of doing. Undoubtedly. And this and the 10th anniversary, I think, are the two IEMs that probably showcase Penon's abilities to tune and that they do know how to tune. Technically, I've already mentioned it's fantastic, so no need to touch upon that. I think, and this is going to be this is a delicate subject to always talk about, which is the price, because the value of things is what we want to associate with it. Okay, that's the truth. The value of something is the value that we want to give to it. Yes, it's got a nice shell, fine. It's got a nice shell, and it's got a nice faceplate. But you look at this, and you don't think it's a $2,500 IEM. You look at this, and this looks the part. It looks treated wood, faceplate, titanium, alloy shell. I mean, it looks the business. The QDC, the same thing. Okay, the Anole VX, maybe, I don't know, it's a little bit outdated, but still looks nice. The look of the shell, I honestly was expecting a little bit more. The rest of the accessories I know are pretty good, so I'm not even going to touch upon them, although I don't have them. But I know that the stock cable, I actually got the stock cable here, and the stock cable is a very nice stock cable. You can actually buy this cable for, I think, $150. Is it worth the $2,500? I mean, only you guys ultimately know if that's the kind of value that you want to give to it. Next to some of the IEMs here, it's neck on neck. As I said, next to Dest Ti, it's the same value for money. Same value in terms of money purchasing. In terms of sound, honestly, and this is my personal opinion, the Dest Ti comes out on top. But the Dest Ti comes out on top out of all of them. So compared to the Anole VX, it hasn't got the details of the Anole VX, Okay, but it is a more musical IEM than the Anole VX. Is the Anole VX worth $2,200? In my opinion, no, because when you have something like the Neon Pro, which is $800, and it is capable of doing basically the same thing, that means that the Anole VX maybe for its time was well priced, but in the current market reality, it's a little bit overpriced. Maybe this should be an IEM of $1,400, $1,500. The MK2, I mean, in terms of value for money, tremendous. $550 with the accessories that it brings, mini Hulk cable. I mean, we need not say more. The QDC, the Tiger, again, $1,500. In the current market reality, even considering that it's got all that it has in terms of its build quality, blah, 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 I still think it's perhaps just a little bit pricey, because there are IEMs which are significantly better than it and cost a fraction, okay? The Alita, $1,000. It's decently priced. It's well priced. I mean, the tuning has been done to be purposely, on purpose, relaxed and mellow. So it's not even fair to go down that road. So considering it's a 12BA and it's well built, it's got a very good value for money as well. Same thing applies to the Neon Pro. SR8, the same thing. Very good value for money. 14BA, $700, not even $800. Well built. You can choose different shell, and that doesn't imply a different cost or anything. Fantastic. And that one there, I'm not even going to talk about value, because I mean, it's ridiculous in the midst of all of these. So yeah, guys, that's it. I mean, Penon Impact, fantastic IM, a solid IM to take the torch of top of the line IM from Penon, on par with the 10th anniversary. In many aspects, I'll be honest, I actually think that the 10th anniversary is probably the one that should have that merit, because what's on offer and what it's capable of doing, it is tremendous. But yes, there has to be something which is the ultimate top of the line IEM, the one that represents truly what a brand is capable of doing. And yeah, I mean, the Impact is that is the IEM that the responsibility fell upon, and it's now up to you guys to decide, what if it's just or not. Anyway, I'll show you the graphs now, and that's it. We'll call it a day. All right, you take care now. Bye bye. Hi guys, and welcome now to the graph section of my Penon Impact review. And no, sorry, this is not it. This is the graph of the Penon Impact. So, well, the graph of the Penon Impact, the one I have and measured both my rig. As you can see, everything sits within a window of 74 to 82 roughly, so 8 dBs roughly. So nice and tight window. Really good bass, as you can see. So the quality of the bass is unquestionable. It's flat by 250 hertz. Basically, it's really flat. Very progressive pinna gain. Peaks at close to 3K. Small dip. Rises again. Drops there at 5K. So no sibilance, no nothing. And then a couple of related and some extension past 10K, which obviously is the STs doing their work there. I think it's self-explanatory. Relaxed, chilled, you can kind of get a general idea of what it's going to be like. The first one I'm going to put straight up is the TXN, the Dest Ti. And, when you look at it like this, it looks similar, kind of okay. Similar-ish bass curve. Yes, not as much bass extension at the lows, but similarly bass curve, very progressive as well in terms of its pinna gain, the way that it peaks at the 2 to 4K area, the dips as well are there. It's exactly the same. Look at that dip there of the Dest Ti in the 2 to 4K area. Look at the Penon. So very similarly done there. The extension after the 5K dip as well, it's very similar. It's just the energy past 10K that is more linear in the Dest Ti, and it I think is the reason why it justifies why it has so much more detail. Okay, so that's the Dest Ti. The next one I'm going to put up now is the QDC Tiger and the QDC Anole VX. So the Anole VX is this puppy here, which I'm actually going to put in black so it shows itself better. Okay, so Anole VX, there you go. Similar kind of bass curve as you can see. Earlier pin again, so everything is way more forward in terms of the mids. Peak then, the dip there at 5K as well. Way more treble, way more extension past 10K. I mean, the Anole VX is just more detailed, period. Now, like I said, it's also colder in the way that it presents itself, while the Impact is much more warmer. It's way more, well, lush is not the best word, but one is cold, one is lush. That's the difference between that. The Tiger is this one that I've got here. I'm actually going to just put the two of them, and you can see the Tiger and the Anole VX are very, very similar. Very, very similar. The Tiger using ESTs, funny enough, it's got less detail up top. And I guess the fact that there is a whole difference in terms of the energy also this explains why it's a more warm kind of sounding IEM as compared to the Anole VX, but it's also it's more musical. The Anole is clinical, this is more musical. As compared to the Penon, they've got very similar kind of extension past 10K there. Very similar again, once again, very similar. And they've got the same kind of musicality, warmness, okay? The only thing that I think perhaps the Penon has, they trade blows there, honestly, because that, you know, the upper mids and the treble, they are a little bit more present on the Tiger, but when you actually hear it, it doesn't come across that way. They sound very similar, but having said that, they kind of trade blows. There's some songs there's more detail on the Tiger, and other songs there's more details on the Impact. But overall, actually, you know, the if I have to kind of try and resume it to one single thing, the sound is very similar between the two of these. It is very, very similar. Okay, so that's that. Now let me show you the graph for the AüR. Actually, let me show you the leisurely audio. Okay, so that's the leisurely audio next to the Penon. Very similar in the bass, but there is definitely more thickness in the bass, so especially in the mid bass of the leisurely audio, and then this area here between 3 and 7. Yes, the leisurely audio's got more energy. It's noticeable, and that also means that, for example, in Up and Up from Jeff Ryan, that sax can, when you reach a certain volume level, become a little bit aggressive almost. Okay, aggressive is a strong word, but I guess you understand what I'm saying. And then the extension past 10K is very similar on both of them. The truth is this: the leisurely audio is a really good IEM. So that's out. Dunu SA6 with the bass switch off, very similar, but when you actually listen to the sound, the Dunu is way more detailed. I mean, especially in this area here, from the treble and the presence and brilliance, it's just more detailed. I mean, it is. And the bass as well, it seems that they are similar. It's got more guts, and this is with the bass switch off, because if the bass switch is on, then trust me, the bass is definitely more gutsy. Let me just quickly show you. So bass switch on, and let me just change the color here. Okay, that's with the bass switch on, and yes, there you definitely notice there's way more bass, although from the bass on and bass off is a little bit of a difference, but when you actually take and you put just the bass switch on version, there's more bass. And according to Penon, there's 4 bass BAs. The Dunu only has 2. I don't know. It is what it is. Look, ultimately it is what it is. I'm just saying this because some talk was done about it, the impact, and because of the bass and so on and so forth. I didn't, although the bass is amazing. It is amazing, mind you, amazing, nice, warm, thick. It is not what I was expecting, considering that it's 4 BAs. And then now the AüR Audio, which is over here. That's again with the bass switch off. Similar in the bass, but when you hear it, no, definitely more, way more detailed, past 10K on the Neon Pro, and the mids are they just more open, okay, a little bit more ultimately, yes, a little bit more fatiguing in this 5K area, because that's my area there of sensitivity, but it is the Neon Pro, you know, is a very good IEM. Let's be honest with it. It's a very good IEM, and that's why it trades blows with the Anole VX. That's why it trades blows with IEMs which are significantly more expensive than it, and some of them not significantly, way really more expensive. And that's it, guys. I mean, really, there's nothing more I can say. That's the graph once again of the Penon. Really nice IEM, you know, top of the line material, definitely. Whether or not the price is the adequate price, in my opinion, okay, that's a decision I leave for you guys to make. But it is definitely a very good IEM, and one that I guess carries a torch, like I said before. All right, anyway, guys, that's it. Any questions you might have, please feel free to ask me, and I'll do my very best to answer. Take care now. Bye-bye.